Hey y'all, it's Lindsey. I have been playing around with our Ninja Creamy ice cream maker, and more specifically, I've been playing around with a variety of bases to put into our Ninja Creamy containers so that I can come up with something that we really love, high protein, low carb, low fat, so we can kind of play with macros. And I think I've come up with a chocolate recipe that is delightful. This ice cream base is 100% dairy free. I have made other ice cream bases and they have used whey protein isolate as the main source of protein, which is still sort of a problem for people who have certain types of dairy intolerances. Lots of people can consume whey protein isolate with much success, but some people cannot, and I wanted to make something that was absolutely 100% dairy free, and this is a base of egg whites. So this right here is also considered protein sparing modified fast friendly. I'm excited. It actually turns to be more like a Wendy's Frosty than a true like hard ice cream, which we find delightful. And the flavor has been really good. I want to show you how I made this base, and then we'll do a taste test. To get started here, I've got all of my ingredients and a couple of tools that will be necessary for me to make this ice cream. I have my food scale and I have a measuring cup. I'm going to go ahead and zero that out and change it over to grams. Well, let's re-zero. Anyway, I have liquid egg whites, some allulose, Hershey's cocoa powder, some vanilla extract, some chocolate extract, monk fruit powder, or you can use liquid stevia, and I'm going to also use a bit of real salt. To start with, I'm going to cook my whites and gently scramble them on a skillet. So I've got that zeroed out, and I am going to add 368 grams. I'm going to need to move on to my next carton. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. I could not, but we're going to pour to 368 grams. All right, just a little over, which is approximately 12 ounces or 1 1/2 cups of egg whites. And I'm going to take them over here to a skillet. I'm going to turn that on as low as I can because I want to very gently scramble these eggs. This skillet is fairly new, so I have not yet found I need to use any kind of fat on it to keep my egg whites from sticking. This is technically a crepe pan, but we're going to use it in this capacity. And I'm just going to take a spatula. I don't want to use that. That's a little large. I'm going to use a small spatula to just kind of keep things moving. I want to make sure to move the curds out of the way and gently scramble this whole batch of egg whites. I probably should have used a larger skillet. I could have done 2 batches if I wanted to use this skillet, but I decided to just go all in like I do. And I'm just going to keep these moving. I don't want them to be scrambled to the point where they are dry once they are finished cooking, but I don't want any liquid whites left in the end. My egg whites are mostly cooked. As you can see, there are little bits that did stick to my skillet. I do not want to add those into my ice cream base, so I'm trying delicately to not add that into my scrambled portions. These eggs are cooked through, but they are not to the point of being overdone, so that is perfection for my tastes. And I am going to go put these into the blender in about 5 minutes once I get some other ingredients in there, and these will have a chance to cool down a smidge. Pulled my almond milk from the refrigerator, and I've got my blender pitcher here on my scale. I am going to use 3 cups of almond milk, unsweetened original. You could choose to use vanilla if you so desire. I don't. So we're going to fill that. To the 3-cup mark, which is approximately 720 grams. So I'm going to go ahead and re-zero my scale. My food scale is probably my most used measuring tool in my kitchen. Strongly encourage everyone to have one. And they're very inexpensive. I'm going to do a 1/2 cup of allulose. One-quarter cup is about 50 grams, so that's going to make it be approximately 100 grams of allulose. Slight bit over. There was probably a few clumps in there. I'm ready for my cocoa powder. I want 20 grams of cocoa powder, so I'm going to do the reverse measuring. I set my cocoa powder on the scale and then I zeroed it out, and now I have removed 20 grams. Dump that in there. I am going to do some real salt. And I've got vanilla here, pure vanilla. Measure with your heart. Next up I have some chocolate extract. I don't know where my lighting is. Where's my lighting at? So I can, there we go. It's kind of hard to read. Anyway, this is from Olive Nation. They have really good extracts and flavorings. I've used them in the past. I really like the fact that this does not have any added color to it. I had been using the Lor-Ann oils. Their flavorings, they taste amazing. However, they have all of these artificial colors in it. Red 40, yellow 5, blue 1, yellow 6. I mean, it's great that it's gluten-free and all, but all of the artificial flavors and colors in it were not the business. So once that was gone, I replaced it with the Olive Nation brand. And my camera does not like to focus on that. Anyway, this one has water, chocolate concentrate, vanilla extract, which is alcohol, water, select vanilla beans. Oh, it's water, alcohol. It definitely, the label has been messed with, or not messed with, but it's worn off there. All right, so I have 1/4 teaspoon of that chocolate extract. I will say the the Olive Nation brand of extracts doesn't seem to be quite as potent as the Lor-Ann oils, and their selection is not as great, but the fact that it's not artificial and doesn't have any of those coloring in it, agents in it, that will make me choose the Olive Nation one over and over again. So originally I was using this at 1/8 of a teaspoon strength. I'm going to go ahead and just double that because I know that it's not quite as potent. And last but not least, we need a bit of monk fruit to round out the flavor profile on the allulose. So I've got my measuring scoop out of there, about 1/4 teaspoon of monk fruit. Last but not least, my egg whites need to go into the blender pitcher here, so we're gonna dump those in and try not to make too big a mess. Excellent. That chocolate extract is really, really smelling nice. We need a lid. I'm going to blend this on high for 2 minutes and clean up this mess while it does that. My blender has stopped, 2 minutes is over, and I still have a little bit of cocoa powder here that I will get with a spatula, and we'll get that incorporated. So here I have some Acacia Fiber. This has become a very useful tool or ingredient rather, not a tool, in my baking here lately. It is totally optional. You do not have to use this, but I have found that my ice cream base turns out creamier in my Ninja Creami when I add a little bit of the Acacia powder. Now I have a little more than 4.5 cups, or right at 4.5 cups of liquid here. There's foam. That's not really gonna be beneficial in my ice cream base, but 4.5 cups right here. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of my Acacia Fiber just to add some creamy texture. It just somehow does something magical in here, creates more of a creamy texture. I'm going to put that in here and get that off the sidewall there and blend this up a second time. 1 teaspoon. Oh good, more mess to clean. It's beginning to worry. Okay, I'm gonna send this through the blender for another 2 minutes. My ice cream base is fully blended. As you can see, it now has 5 cups liquid and about 1 cup of foam. I don't really want that foam part, but this is a lot of ice cream base. And I only have a total of these 3 Creami pint containers. So I need to come up with a creative solution, as there's one that's already being used, and this is too much for 2 containers. So what I'm going to do, it's going to be weird. This is my first time really trying it in this exact way, but I have a quart size freezer bag here sort of pressed into my Creami container. I'm going to pour some of my base. Hopefully this works out well with only one hand. I'm going to pour some of my base in here, and I'm going to let that flash freeze and then seal that up and let it freeze hard in my freezer. I'm going to fill a second one all the way to the max fill line, and then pop these in the freezer so that they can get set up for me for actual usage in the Creami. Also, let it be known that I am fully aware that there's all these little indentations, all of these little wonky places. My plan is to slightly defrost this in the bag in some warm water to sort of loosen up the outside edges, plop it into a Creami container, and then let it refreeze for less time so that it will sort of settle in to the Creami container. So I'm very aware that this is not ideal, but I also only have the 3. I don't know that we need to buy more of these at this point, because then we have to store them when there is nothing in them, and I just don't have the mental capacity to keep, taking care of more things at this moment, given the storage situation in our kitchen. So all of that to say, full disclaimer, I'm not unaware of what's happening here. I've already spun this through our Ninja Creami. I spun it once on the light ice cream cycle, and then I opened it up, kind of mashed it around a little bit, added a tiny bit more almond milk, probably, I want to say a tablespoon of almond milk to the container, and then I did a respin, scraped down the sides, and made it a little bit more presentable on the top here, and the texture is delightful. This is more ice milkish than it is true ice cream, which is why I think it gives more of a Wendy's frosty texture, but the flavor, it's chocolatey without being dark chocolate. It's got that fantastic, just not quite ice cream, not quite a milkshake taste and texture in your mouth. The almond milk does produce some ice crystals in the mix. I don't know if you'll be able to see that too well, but whenever you're consuming it on the tongue, it doesn't really feel like a lot of ice crystalliness, so that's a plus. It's currently breakfast time here, so I'm probably going to eat this whole pint as my breakfast today. I'm in the middle of doing a what I eat in a day video, so I should probably go let you know in that video what I'm eating now. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this recipe video for my Ninja Creami. It's actually my husband's Ninja Creami that I gifted him for Christmas, but what's his is mine, what's mine is his. So I hope you give this recipe a try. If you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, what would you do to change it in order to make it more palatable to yourself? And I hope to see you in my next video.